My friends, in the event that you are new to this wonderful card game and you have not yet signed up for a UGN Play account, you can now sign up with my exclusive referral code Alliteration and get yourself 50 bonus loyalty points for free, as well as additional loyalty points for every event that you play in within my referral code period. Why do you need these, you might ask? Well, loyalty points can be used to redeem free promotional cards in the mail, as well as other exclusive items coming in the future. The bonus points from using my code are enough to redeem almost any promo card right off the bat, and having your UGN account is going to allow you to accrue and track more and more as you go through your hero or villain's journey. If free cards and progression all sound super appealing to you, the links for all of this are going to be in the description below. Now, let's get on to the video. Welcome, my dear viewers, to another Alliteration gaming video. My name's Levi, and I've got the one and only, everybody's favorite, Mr. Willy T onto the channel to showcase a really cool deck that he's been having a ton of fun with, and it is Shigaraki Tomura 2. On the death symbol.
Yeah, this character is a ton of fun. This is definitely one of the most combo and sequence reliant decks that I have ever played, but it's very rewarding. It's very aggressive, and it's a very high risk, high reward play style, and it is an absolute blast to play.
So Shigaraki is a 7-hand size, 19 health character with 2 very powerful abilities. His response allows you to tap down your foundations in exchange for free momentum, and his enhance lets you just clear things out of your card pool on both players' turns. So he's kind of like playing Asui, but on the death symbol. That's more or less what we're here to do with this deck.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I definitely want to just play cards on practically no progressive and just blitz out 8 to 10 attacks at a turn.
Yeah, the combo chains and the strings with this deck are absolutely wild. You'll often see Will just going through like 5, 6, 7, 8 cards, dancing around his card pool, charging so much momentum for free, drawing a million cards, and then just putting out 50, 60 damage in a singular turn. So how do we do that, you might ask? Well, that's with the very cool Fury attacks scattered all across our main deck.
Well, we're going to start off with 4 copies of Nitro Explosion Ignition. This card is the bread and butter of this character because it really allows you to pump a whole bunch of momentum together in combination with the rest of the attack lineup, as well as some neat interactions with itself and Shigaraki to really just keep yourself fueled and killing cards out of your card pool and keep your plays going and going and going.
Yeah, Nitro is extremely true to its name. It is literally the gas, the fuel, the ignition. It is what starts the flame of the insane strings of attacks that we love playing in this deck.
Next, to follow that up, we have 4 copies of the most redacted card in MHA history, Stun Grenade.
Don't cancel us.
Don't cancel me. But yeah, this card is basically, it replaces itself when you play it in most circumstances, and it's going to stun out your rival's stage. Additionally, you're going to wind up with a really big stun rating later in your chain, or you can open with this just fine, start off with a little bit of stun, and extend your plays a little bit further.
Yeah, I mean, if you're playing a full Fury deck, Stun Grenade is essentially a back alley haymaker for this attack lineup in a lot of ways, and that's extremely powerful, especially when you can get, like you said, that really massive stun rating leading into your super powerful finishing attacks that, if they're completely committed out, they just can't block.
Yeah, this is the best thing to go into at the beginning of the string or mid-string. It's not as good finishing it, but it's real good in the middle. Next, we have 4 copies of the big whammy itself, Howitzer Impact Cyclone. This card is your primary kill card, and it is also the big extender for the deck. Being able to draw as many cards as you have in your momentum, while also getting one for free off of this, is absolutely crazy in this deck. You are going to routinely draw 8 to 10 cards during the course of a string.
Yeah, once you hit like these really crazy late game states, or even if you start popping off early game, the cards are always so good. It's so easy to just draw so many cards, and once you're seeing like your entire deck and you have like infinite momentum, because I mean these are all +1, so like you're just clearing your card pool nonstop and drawing essentially your entire deck.
So next, I have 2 copies of Instant Explosive Release. This card is a really good extender for the deck, especially once you have started off with Nitro Explosion, or another card that we'll get to later that is a really good poke to start your combos off and really get things going. In combo with Nitro Explosion Ignition, this represents 2 momentum, or 3 if it manages to hit with Shigaraki and you're willing to commit a foundation. so it can really get you off to the races.
Yeah, I mean, no one wants to waste their high block on this thing, and often you also don't want to block, like, the opener if it's a high, because you just really need to save all your blocks for the Cyclones, because they're just, like, always presenting lethal. They're always presenting the ability to get there, so this card just makes your opponent have to play into your attacks really, really awkwardly.
Yep, and the other cool option is you can side it out in Game 2, because once they see it Game 1, they're going to start playing around it. You side it out for Game 2, they lose sight of it, and then you can bring it back in for Game 3 if you so desire. Next, we're going to go into 2 copies of Touch of Decay. This is another Fury attack that combos very well with Nitro Explosion Ignition. If your rival chooses to completely block this card, then they're going to have to contend with it again and again and again. And you're going to be stacking more and more momentum as you go. It is very threatening, not on the damage front, but on the amount of resources that it represents.
Yeah, this card's so annoying to play against. Like, if you open Nitro and then into this, it just puts your opponent in such an awkward position. They pretty much just have to give you the free draw and the free momentum, because if they let you just pick this up and then to get a free one with Nitro, it's just going to get replayed, and it's like you just have to deal with it eventually, and it's really, really hard.
And then last, but most certainly not least, we're going to talk about the odd man out. We're going to play 3 copies of Blue Flame Palm Strike.
This card's so cool!
It is incredibly cool because it gets you off to the races right at the start. You get to enhance, check the top 3, put 1 into the momentum, and it's a 5 mid for 3 that really most people just don't want to block. It's something that's a really high commitment to block and stop you from getting anything going. So sometimes it's not worth it, and that lets you get your instant explosive releases off for free sometimes.
Yeah, this is just a really hard one to block, especially like you said, like super early game. This, it's like, if I block this, I can't block the 12 damage howitzer that comes in because my opponent just stole 3 momentum, and then it's like, it just puts your opponent in a really, really frustrating situations. Yep. This deck, this attack lineup in general is just super hard to play around, especially on top of this character.
Yeah, and one other thing that's really relevant about Blue Flame Palm Strike is that powerful 3.
It's big.
Sometimes this is your 5th, 6th, and 7th copy of Howitzer Impact Cyclone.
Yeah, I mean, it's much faster, too. Like, sometimes it's even better.
So now we're going to go into the actions, and this deck definitely relies a bit on its actions, and we're going to start off with 4 copies of Go for the Win. This card is absolutely incredible in this deck. You kind of want to play down foundations, and you'll see some of that in the foundation lineup that I have, but this allows you to really just basically ready to, in the middle of your strings, gets cards out of your card pool still, and if you need to, it is that little extra burst of speed to just absolutely finish them off if you need to. But this card is absolutely phenomenal in this. Being able to build mid-combat is a game changer.
Yeah, go for the Win is nuts in this deck. Like, it's actually so good, it's not even funny. That random +2 speed is one of the most annoying things to have to take into consideration.
Yep.
It just lets you extend so much further. Like that first bad check you hit when you're like really trying to start your big string, this just completely takes that out of the equation.
Yep, and it can absolutely punish your opponent if they're not looking for that extra 2 speed. If they're doing all their math without that in account, sometimes you will just catch them and kill them.
Yep, and you're like, okay, well now suddenly my howitzer is unblockable.
Yep.
And I'll pass. Oopsie.
Yep.
Yeah, it's got a sexy block as well.
Yeah, it does.
Very sexy block.
Now for the piece de resistance. 2 copies of The Price for Peace.
Will, tell us why this is the best card in the deck.
Well, this is the best card in the deck because sometimes you just don't draw gas in the middle of your string, and being able to go, you know what, I did draw gas, I just had to go a little deeper, is really, really nice. You are a 7 hand size character, and you are on the death symbol. You get to play Forcing Surrender, and you have your face to clear this out of your card pool if you need to. So this card doesn't really have a whole lot of a cost to us, but the entire plan of the deck is to 1-turn kill the other guy anyway. So why not just accentuate that with Price for Peace?
I mean, Price for Peace just lets you go in. Like, you price for peace, you find that 1 howitzer, you draw 4 or 5 cards off of that, and then things are just off to the races.
Yep, absolutely. And the deadlock is very relevant in those cases where you wind up going to that late game state. Because you're just going to get to go, cool, I'm going to pick up all my Howitzer Impact Cyclones.
Yep, and that's super important too, because you don't really want to go into like super late game with the deck, because you're just going to deck out.
Yeah.
You're going to deck out.
You're going to deck out, and you're not going to be drawing as many cards, because if you go into your next turn with still 10 cards in your hand, and you didn't have enough gas the first time, you're not getting new ones.
No, yeah, it's not gonna change the situation. And Price for Peace is a card that can just come in randomly and change the situation.
Yep.
The fact that we can clear it out of our pool too is like the coolest thing in the world.
Absolutely, it is like there is no cost to this card. It's beautiful.
There's truly no Price for Peace. We got a Black Friday discount.
Yeah,
we got a discount.
Yeah, but for the other guy, there is a price for peace, and it will be paid in blood. And speaking of that price being paid in blood, we are excited for it. I'm running 2 copies of Excited for Blood. You don't really want to run a whole lot more. It definitely gets a bit cloggy, but this is another one of those cards that lets you draw another card and keep your life total healthy for those times where you're going second, and keep yourself from being just killed outright.
Yeah, this is like a very like wombo combo deck. So normally we don't want to include a ton of things that aren't part of like our Christmas land dream scenario. But Excited's one of those cards that's just way too good to not have at least a couple copies of.
Next, we've got 2 copies of League Interview. This card is here to really facilitate that beginning play, that starter card that we want to get everything going. And it's also good to block with. Again, more than 2 gets a little bit redundant. But it's definitely something where that first form can really change your game, because most of the time you are starting with a 4-diff. So being able to just guaranteed not have to commit anything is very, very good for this deck.
Yeah, it's just one of those nice little safety net cards, and the random 6 check is very handy as well, because Howitzer's always on a 6.
Yup. Next, we've got 2 copies of Brute Strength. This card is really important to this deck because you actually want to play down on foundations for the sake of go for the win. So this is something that allows you to take those cringe committed foundations, get them out of here, and turn them into more damage to make everything more threatening. And also, you only need 1 life to win. Next, we've got 2 copies of Apathetic. These are here to answer any threats that your rival has that are going to stop you from comboing. This is here to get those out of your way and really clear a path for you to get all the way through.
I mean, Apathetic's just a very nice control piece. Again, it's not super part of like our combo machine engine, but it does help protect our pieces a lot. Things like stat resets or momentum discarding cards we really, really don't want to see.
Next, we have 3 copies of Latent Skill. This is here to extend our plays even further. Sometimes we just need to discard those cringe foundations in our hand and get more orange cards into it. Next is 3 copies of Encouragement. Encouragement is a really, really cool card in this deck because it allows you to get cards out of your card pool without having to expend momentum to do it. And it's really, really cool on your opener if you open with Blue Flame Palm Strike, because you can hit them, take a momentum with Shigaraki, encouragement it out of your pool, and it will still count toward your stun grenades, because stun grenade doesn't check for the Fury keyword on the stun part.
Nope, yeah, card's really, really, really fantastic in this deck. Just lets us go that extra mile.
Next, we are going to go for 3 copies of Snack Time.
God, this card's amazing in this deck.
Yes, it is. You get to discard all of those cringe foundations, get them out of here. You're drawing 1 billion cards with this deck anyway, so being able to just turn that all into stuns and extra speed is absolutely crazy for this deck.
Yeah, man, on those big howitzer turns, you basically just have infinite hand size, so just converting it all into essentially 2 plus 2 of speed resource is just it's a crazy good exchange rate.
Next, we've got 2 copies of Struggling with Studies. This card is one of our key defensive pieces, which there's not going to be a whole lot of in this deck. You play very honest defense with this deck, but Struggling with Studies helps you in a pinch.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, again, one of the most premier defensive pieces in the game, and just such a powerful card that it's got to be in here at least a little bit.
Yep.
And, I mean, it does protect our cool foundations that do kill people.
Next, we've got 3 copies of Forcing Surrender. Forcing Surrender is really, really cool with Price for Peace, but it's also good against anything that stuffs your card pool. They play sticky balls. Well, yeah, I don't care that much. And it helps you get those things that would be stuffed in there out of the card pool for you to continue your plays. It's also incredible to be able to eat up Breaker and just play the next thing and then just Forcing Surrender whatever you played out of the card pool in order to keep things going. Everything with this deck is about keeping your machine going, and anything that could clear that out is incredible for this deck.
Yes, any level of like card pool stuffing or Faith Shield really messes up our super duper combo reliant deck. Like we have to resolve Howitzer.
Yep.
We have to resolve Howitzer, and this card just helps us do that. And it's really good against a lot of the meta too. I mean, Tokugami's not going anywhere, guys. I don't know if you think he's going anywhere, but he's not.
Nope, kicking their Summon Dark Shadows out is hilarious. Next, we're gonna go for 4 copies of Let's Fight Bad Guys. Sometimes a little speed is all you need, and that's what this card represents. Next, we've got 3 copies of Arrogant Disposition, fantastic 6 check, and a low block, and that is its primary role here. We really don't need a whole lot else out of this card.
Yeah, there's not like a ton of relevant punches running around, but when they do come up, it's quite nice. For the most part, though, yeah, this card just lets us check a 6.
Next, we have 4 copies of Tight-Lipped. This is a card that helps you weaponize your stage. If it's not an offensive piece, it's going face down for more damage, and then you are killing them.
Yeah, I mean, statistically speaking, one of the best zeros, just a 0-5 at a +1 mid-block's fantastic, and sometimes this just lets us get there.
And last, and probably least, is 2 copies of In Danger. This card is just a spam in death, and sometimes that's all it needs to be.
Yeah, we just want more than 4 zeros in our deck, TBH, but hey, sometimes this card does let you live.
Sometimes it saves your bacon.
Does save your bacon sometimes. I've definitely had to seal an Endanger for game once or twice before.
Yup.
And well, there you have it, guys. That is how to draw your entire deck and play the majority of it too, with Shigaraki II on the death symbol.
Yup. It's so fun to just have a ton of cards in your hand and just keep slinging attacks. And nobody knows what to do. Everybody has a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah, this deck is it's extremely cool. It's extremely wombo combo. There's tons of moving parts. If you're a solid combo aggro player, you like a lot of moving pieces in your deck, you're gonna absolutely adore the plays that this deck can put out, and you're gonna adore what it does to your opponent too. Because man, I've played against this deck quite a solid amount of times before, and I still don't know what the right one is to block, what the wrong one is to take, and the slightest mistake is just gonna lead to a 50 damage howitzer doming you in the face.
Yup.
So if you want to give this deck a shot for yourself, I'm going to have the link to it on UVSultra down below. And if you do get some experience with it and have some feedback, we would love to hear it in the comments section as well. In addition, if you really liked what you saw, go ahead and hit the like and the subscribe button while you're down there too, which is going to let me shove all of my MHA CCG content into your newsfeed. All kinds of really cool deck profiles like these on top of tier lists, ban list discussions, meta reviews, things going on in the news, and everything and anything MHA CCG. And of course, if you made it all the way to the end of this video, a big thank you from both Willy T and I for checking out this super sweet brew that he's cooked up. That's all the time both of us have for this video though, guys. Thanks again for watching, and I hope we'll both see you in the next one.